Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beam Talks. Today, we're here with Yele Bademosi, who is CEO and founder of Bundle.Africa, right?
Yes, that's it.
Great. Could you tell us a bit about what you are doing and what Bundle.Africa does?
Sure. So I'm Yele, and like you said, I run Bundle.Africa. Bundle is a social payments app for cash and crypto, and we exist to make economic freedom and prosperity a reality for all Africans. And we believe that cryptocurrencies and blockchains are kind of this key driver or key technology that makes that ambition a reality. And in order for that to be possible, we have to build a product that has the potential to scale to millions of Africans everywhere. We believe that your geography or location should not determine the quality and access to financial services. And before cryptocurrencies, that was the case. So that's what drives us. And, we're just about 6 months or 7 months into our public journey. And it's definitely been, an interesting one so far.
I understand that you are actually a veteran in this space. You are dealing with cryptocurrency for many years, right?
I mean, like, I wouldn't say I'm a veteran, but I think the last 3 years of my life, actually the last 2.5, has been extremely focused on this same idea. And because of how early the industry is in Africa, I've been fortunate enough to, build or invest or support a variety of cryptocurrency projects across the continent and build a very strong network. But I'm sure there are people who have been in the industry for seven, 8 pre-Bitcoin, probably, if you're into cryptography. So I'm definitely not a veteran on the global scale.
Yeah, sure. There is always someone who was, there with Satoshi.
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah. So, how is it going? I mean, do you see improvement or advancement in adoption of cryptocurrency in Africa? Is there like recent developments that you can talk about?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think like overall, there's definitely been a huge change. I remember when I made my first investment into a cryptocurrency project, there were very few companies that were operating in the space. So this was a company called Bitcoins, and it was still quite challenging to access crypto and other crypto assets. And now, especially in Nigeria, there's so many products, so many exchanges that it has become a lot easier for people to use crypto and accept crypto, and it's definitely a lot more mainstream than it was 4 years ago. A lot of people have heard about it. A lot of people want to buy it. A lot of people want to use it. But it still feels early. There's a difference between awareness and utility. So I think on an awareness scale, like a lot of countries globally, crypto or Bitcoin, is popular, but on the utility scale, there's still a lot of room for improvement. And I think that applies not just for Africa, but across the world, as you see it.
What would you say are the major problems that needed to be overcome in order to make cryptocurrencies more popular or more accepted?
Yeah, so I think there are a number of things. I like to divide them into two buckets. One is the usability, and the other one is utility, right? So the usability side is probably a little bit more, actually depends on the spectrum, right? So if you're doing usability and you are building something that is non-custodial, then it's an incredibly hard problem to solve. If you're doing usability, but your product is custodial, is a lot easier than a non-custodial but usable solution, right? So Bundle is on the spectrum of usability but custodial. And what we try to do is to look at traditional fiat and say, okay, how do we replicate some of these UX or flows that users are familiar with and bring that into crypto, but know that we want to be a bridge, right? So, and by bridge, it means that we must educate our users to want to seek out non-custodial solutions, right? So, this idea of individual sovereignty, especially applied to economic freedom, means that we have to, at our core, care about sort of non-custodial, right? So I think that is an extremely hard problem, and it's sort of saying, okay, how do you maintain non-custodial but still build something that is very useful and that is very kind of easy to use and familiar to use. The utility side, I think not a lot of time and attention is spent on that. And maybe that's just because, you know, as an industry, we can't help it. I think a lot of us came into crypto through things like pumps in price and price action and market caps and money to make money through trading. And trading actually is what keeps our industry sustainable. But I hope that over the next 3, 4, 5 years, you know, there'll be people who want to build away from speculation, because they actually understand that, you know, to realize the full potential of digital assets, we have to have usability outside of trading. You know, I always tell the team at Bundle that, you know, the number of trading users for crypto is always going to be a niche product, right? So we might have huge transaction volumes, but that should not be the core metric as a business. It should be the number of users that are using crypto, and I like to think about some of those use cases. So I think if we can figure out those two things, and then obviously there's definitely regulation, right? So regulatory uncertainty and ambiguity and even kind of fear around crypto hinders it, wherein, you know, a crypto company can't integrate with a bank or work with traditional financial institutions, and not because they're scared of the innovation, but just because the regulation does not allow it, right? So if you don't have these on and off ramps, you know, it definitely impacts the ability for the industry to scale.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I have noticed several things during our work with usability specifically. First of all, the idea of decentralization is very appealing. It's very, you know, it's very easy to explain. Like, you own your own money, it's your money. When your money is in the bank, it's not exactly your money. However, people are not ready for the responsibility that this decentralization brings. And this is one of the issues, like when we say, okay, and now you have to really keep these 12 or 24 words secret. And if there is some problem, you have no one you can call. No one can roll back your transaction if you mistakenly entered $1 million into the fee field. And this is something that people are really scared, and especially when we're talking about people who not just trade for, you know, quick profits or fun, but people who would really love their business to depend on that, or their life. They're scared, and correctly so, though. This is like the first problem that definitely, if we're talking non-custodial solutions, we have to somehow overcome, is this the acceptance of the fact that you are the one responsible from one part, and helping this person to accept this responsibility as much as possible by providing better UX and, you know, better explanations, because this technology is very new, different from what people are used to. So that's definitely a major issue for us as well. And we are also trying, you know, to build our wallets to be as simple as possible. And it's not trivial at all. I can tell we invest a lot of effort into this, and it's very difficult.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, I agree.
Yeah, the other interesting thing that I saw, because of a lot of projects around crypto, they come from technology, from cryptography or other ideas. And in many ways, if you compare, like, let's say, Windows and Linux and Mac, right? So a lot of these projects look like Linux. They have a lot of powerful technology, way too little product management and usability research. And this is why in a lot of cases, what's happening is that there is a front on top of this technology. Like in Ethereum, we see that a lot of trading projects, they have a website, which is completely centralized, old school website that connects to your like MetaMask or some other wallet. And this is also has centralized components, and all that actually wraps the smart contract, which is completely decentralized and running on the blockchain. So there is this, but I think that there are some projects that try to make investment directly into usability, and I would really love to see more of those in the future to become more like Mac, maybe from the user perspective, and less like Linux type of interface, yes, and capabilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It's a major issue.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Like I always tell like anyone I speak to that, when someone turns on and off a light switch and light comes on, or they get into a car or into an airplane, they don't really know much about the combustion engine or the filaments of a light bulb and AC or DC current. They just want something that is useful, and it solves a problem. And so for a lot of us who are the product developers and innovators, we care so much about the technology and can be technology centric, whilst for the end user, it's a tool. They want it to solve a problem. And if we can understand and think through the user's lens and kind of understand what they care about, I believe that would go a long way in building products that are a lot more easier to use. But like you said, it's great that there's a lot more product thinking and design and usability coming into the space, compared to 18, 24 months ago. There's definitely be a trend in the right direction. And Beam is one of these projects who are like, we're non-custodial, but we're still going to take design and usability seriously. And I think that's a fantastic step in the right direction.
Yeah, when we started, it was about 2.5 years ago in 2018. We really wanted to create something practical, and for us, practicality, it meant three things. So decentralization is obviously one of them, but the other two is our usability and privacy. And I would like to ask your opinion about this subject. So for us, privacy is something that is one of the core reasons our project exists. We really wanted to improve this space. And today, when there are a lot more applications than there were like 2 years ago, including DeFi and all the trading applications that are going on, I believe that in order to be able to conduct your business, or even have serious financial operations in crypto, like even personal, you need to have some kind of privacy. For me, it makes no sense to do transactions that are completely visible to anyone, not just who you want them to be visible to. So what are your thoughts about privacy in crypto in general? And
so I think the end goal for digital currencies and cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, is to emulate cash, but in the digital world, right? And in the end, create something that is a lot more user-friendly and useful than cash, but still maintain some of the key elements, right? So if I had cash and I wanted to buy something from you voluntarily, I give you my cash and you exchange, whatever good or product, and that transaction is between me and you, and if I don't tell anyone about it, nobody knows about it. And I think that that property of cash is not something that has been replicated in crypto. So I do believe that privacy is that final is like the final, well, privacy alongside usability and utility are sort of like the final frontiers of the problems that we need to solve for crypto assets, right? And what I've generally seen among kind of like privacy focused projects is they tend to put privacy and it's almost like privacy and usability are on opposite ends of the spectrum. So the more private something is, the more difficult it is to use.
Yes.
But actually, in my opinion, it should be a 2x2 metrics whereby, you do have on the top right, you have this quadrant that should have privacy and usability. So again, it's fantastic to see that projects like Nima are trying to solve for both. But yeah, it is a key part of digital assets, in my opinion. And privacy is what truly gives something some kind of resistance. It's not like censorship resistance as well. And until you have privacy, then there's always a room for this idea of censorship resistance to fail, because then people that shouldn't know about a transaction know about a transaction. So
yeah. So we are trying to solve this by providing what we call opt-in auditability, which means that if you want to show your transactions to some other person or organization, your accountant, for example, or if you are under some regulation to the authorities, you can decide what you want to show, and also to be able to prove that this is exactly what happened on the blockchain. So this is our way of tackling this. By the way, regarding regulation, I see a lot of positive changes recently, because 2020 was very difficult year for like a lot of people on this planet. And one of the things that are actually happening right now, large organizations are starting to invest in Bitcoin actively.
Yes.
Because they say, listen, there is this great asset which we want to invest in. And in order to do that, obviously, we need to comply with some regulations. So they are lobbying actively, probably their governments or their authorities, to support that on the taxpayer level, and also on the financial laws, the laws that are being changed for that. For example, what is Bitcoin, whether it's money or is it some other asset class. Many countries have different approaches to that problem. But because of these large investors that come into the market, we see that there is a lot of there is a lot of movement from regulators as well towards this problem. And eventually it also expands to other cryptocurrencies. And I think it's very good development that we are seeing. Because today Bitcoin is, I think, $19,000, and probably will go even higher soon. So there is definitely a lot of interest, despite all the difficult times that we're having. It means that people want to invest in this, in Bitcoin and in crypto in general. So I think in the span of like 2-3 years, we will see a lot of changes in the regulation as well.
Yeah. I think that's the case, right? Like the more crypto spreads and the more we begin to see use cases for it, and there are more kind of organizations, traditional, that become proponents of it, I believe that regulation would change, and it is quite counterintuitive, right? So obviously there are projects that work on things like KYT, know your transactions, and when they release figures and statistics that show that the percentage of transactions with crypto that are used by bad actors or for criminal activity, and is below sort of what we know for cash. It makes people actually realize that this is something that people want to use, and so it's counterintuitive, because it's like some of the crypto OGs might be like, oh, but this is against XYZ, but that kind of factual proof or evidence now actually supports the idea that actually maybe what we should be doing is supporting digital assets and cryptocurrencies, because it's clear that people are using it for the right reasons. I also have this concept of competitive governance, where I can't remember the exact sort of like story, but I think Christopher Columbus, when he wanted to kind of go on the expedition to the Latin Americas, his home country, the king of his home country, didn't want to sponsor it, and he went to a couple of countries. And I think it was Spain that was like, okay, you know what, we're going to give you the funds to go for to do it. And when it was successful, a lot more sort of countries began to do explorations. And yes, there are pros and cons for that, but the key idea I wanted to take from that story was that what would also happen with crypto is there'll be a few countries that will ban crypto or not be proponents for it or not have positive regulations towards it. But there are hundreds of countries in the world. Those that do would attract kind of the service providers and practitioners in the space, and they would reap the benefits, and others be like, okay, wait, there's something happening here and it's useful, and so we want to follow these guys. So I think that that's why the idea of usability and utility, for people who want to drive the adoption of cryptocurrencies globally, if we solve those two things, I genuinely believe that we would have mass adoption, and the regulation would change over time towards more positive and open regulations. And we're already trending in that direction anyway. So it's a good place to be in.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. We have a relatively large community in Africa relative to our community size. And Agbona is our community lead in Africa. And he told me that, for me, I learned a lot of new things when, I spoke with a lot of new people when I started at Beam, because it's kind of global, and every country is different. And I was actually amazed by the numbers of young people that there are in Africa in general and Nigeria specifically. And I think that these young people are, growing into this new world of, a lot of new possibilities that crypto brings, and, these new type of technologies bring to the world. So, just to kind of summarize our great discussion here, what would you recommend to these young people to do, to learn, how to approach this world?
I think you have to approach it from intellectual curiosity. And, it takes time. I think everybody's journey is different. Most people come into crypto through speculation and the fact that they can make money. They lose money because everybody does. But then you do realize that there is something here. There is something here that keeps people building and become passionate about the space. So for me, I think like I'm always very big on knowledge and education, and getting started as little as whatever you can, because I think like once you learn and you have skin in the game, like the rest kind of takes care of itself. But the beauty of crypto, especially in Africa, is that people are, the use cases of the utility is growing stronger and stronger every day. Compared to investing in the stock markets, crypto outperforms, even if you don't know what the hell you're doing. And holding local fiat as long-term savings instruments are, you're losing value against the dollar every single day with devaluation and inflation. So being able to escape these things is a big deal. So yeah, I think my advice is join a community, join a learning community. Start putting some percentage of whatever income you have into crypto, money that you're not afraid about, losing some percentage in the short term, because crypto is extremely volatile. And yeah, be long-term minded. If you're long-term minded about crypto, I think you will do well in overall. So yeah, that's my 3 tips.
Great. So our time is up, and thank you very much for joining and being here with us. And
Thanks
it's
for
been
having me,
great.
Alex. Was a pleasure chatting.
Have a great evening.
All right, you too, man. Have a good one. Bye bye.